Okay, I want to talk to y'all real quick. I haven't posted a video in a while, but I've been getting a lot of requests um about collections. So I'm gonna break it down for y'all real quick. First of all, I'm Walter Jackson. You know, all things financial literacy, financial education, anything to do with credit, I'm on it. I know it. I study it. This is what I do. I eat, sleep, breathe this stuff. So let me tell you, when it's dealing with the collections, you got two ways that you can dispute it. The first way, with collections, you gotta understand who is reporting the collection. Is it the creditor, which means is it the original person that you borrowed the debt from? Is it Capital One, like with a credit card? Is it the car dealership when it comes to a vehicle? Like you got to understand who the creditor is that's actually reporting it, not who the creditor is that you owe, but who is actually reporting to the credit bureaus. Once you establish that, that'll tell you how to dispute it. For instance, if it's not the creditor, if it's the collection agency, that means that they have sold the debt to a collection agency. And what that means is simple. Let me give you an illustration so you're able to digest it. For instance, if I owe Pookie, some money, right? Pookie realizes after like 6 months that I can't pay him. So Pookie goes to Big Steve. Big Steve, he feels like, hey, Big Steve can get some money, but hey, I'm gonna sell this debt because I owe Pookie and I'm not gonna pay him. So he goes to Big Steve. Big Steve says, hey, I'll buy the debt from you for $100. At least you get something out of the deal, and I'll be responsible for collecting the debt from Walter. And so Pookie said, okay, cool, because I ain't gonna get nothing from Walter anyway. So he sells the debt for $100, and Big Steve comes after me. You see what I'm saying? And so Big Steve, just using that as an analogy so you can understand it, Big Steve is reporting to the credit bureaus that I owe a debt. You see what I'm saying? Which it's legal, but it's you got area. You got an area where you can dispute it, because in reality, you do not owe Big Steve the debt. You owe it to Pookie. You see what I'm saying? But Pookie sold the debt to Big Steve, so Big Steve is reporting it to the credit bureau, but you don't owe Big Steve. You see what I'm saying? So in that case, when it's a collection agency that you do not owe, that's reporting to the credit bureaus, you do what's called a debt validation letter, which basically says, excuse me, which basically says, I want you to validate this debt that you're claiming that I owe. And they will not be able to validate the debt because you have never entered into a contract with them. So in the debt validation, you will ask for a couple of things, like a contract with a wet signature that you are in agreement, with this particular institution about the debt, whatever they are claiming that you owe. Produce that contract that has my wet signature that says I entered into an agreement to pay this such and such amount of money to you. You see, and they will not be able to produce that. That's one of the things you ask for. I got a whole list of things. You ask for some financial records, that's showing that you even started to pay this debt, before you became outstanding on paying it. And so you ask for a couple of things dealing with these people, and they won't be able to produce it. You give them 30 days to produce it, which is long enough to produce the documentation. Because one thing about a creditor and a collection agency, it's illegal to share files. So they can't give them a contract that you entered into with them. They cannot sell that contract. They can sell the debt, but they can't sell the contract. So therefore, they can't produce any records claiming that you owe this money. A collection agency can't. So you hit them with a debt validation letter, give them 30 days to produce the documentation, which they will not be able to produce. And then you go to the credit bureau and you submit to the credit bureau that letter that you sent to the collection agency, asking for this information and they couldn't produce it. So therefore you have to remove it from my account because they cannot produce the documentation that I requested, which says that this account is inaccurate and is reporting fraudulently to my credit report because I never entered into an agreement with this particular collection agency. So that's how you dispute it with a collection agency. But when it comes to a creditor, and that's the thing, a lot of people be asking for debt validation when it comes to the creditor, and then the creditor will validate the debt because they actually have contractual agreement with you. So you do not dispute it when it comes to a creditor with debt validation letter. What you do with the creditor is you do what's called a factual dispute. And so what that is you get all three of your credit reports, which that's the hard way, right? What I do is I just get a trimester. You got many companies that that offer 3-in-1, which is a side-by-side credit report where it shows Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian side by side. And each account, it shows where it's reporting and it shows what it's reporting with that particular account. So what you do is you get a report like that, and then you get you look at that particular account, right? And if it's the creditor that's reporting, then you want to do what's called a factual dispute, because each creditor, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, they do not have the same third-party agencies that's out there that's getting your information. Okay, they're out there scouting, you know, and scraping up information on you. So each one has different resources. They have different I'm gonna say they have different agencies that they use that report your information, that they buy your information and report it to the credit bureaus, to the big three, to Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. So because they have different resources, they will have different facts about each account, or you know, or information based on you, because the resources are not the same. Therefore you hit them with what's called factual dispute, because when you look at your credit bureau, when you look at your report on these trimester reports, they are not the same. They are not 100% accurate. And the FCRA, it specifically, you know, has laws that says that they have to be basically 100% accurate all the way across the board. So now you hit them with what's called factual dispute, because 100%, this is 100%. This is not like segregated to a percentage of people. This is 100% of people. Every 100% of your accounts, every single account that's on the trimester report, I don't care which trimester report you go to. You can go to the big three and pull all three. You'll just have to sit down with your highlighter like I used to do, and you would just have to highlight the inaccuracies across all three bureaus, you know, which is the hard way, when all you got to do is pull a trimester report and you can see it right there in front of you. Still can highlight it, but it's like on the same piece of paper, right? And it's easier to scan and upload when you do your dispute, and you can show them the inaccuracies. So with that being said, you hit them with what's called a factual dispute. A factual dispute basically says that these are not facts. It's inaccurate across the board. It's showing different payment amounts. It's showing different amounts that I owe. It's showing different dates that the account was paid, different dates that it was delinquent, different dates that it was supposedly late, if it was any late payment. And so you hit them with what's called a factual dispute. Because this is not factual, because it's inaccurate, then it has to be either updated or removed. And I want it updated as paid as agreed. I don't care if I owe $10,000. I want it updated as paid as agreed, because you can't say that I'm not up to date as far as that I haven't paid. If it's inaccurate across the board, you're saying that I didn't pay, and that's inaccurate. So why can't it be I did pay? If that's inaccurate, then it has to be accurate enough that I did pay, that it's paid as agreed. And don't think that this is impossible. I do this all day long. I do this all day long for people. I get their accounts paid as agreed because it's inaccurate across the board. Or I could get it removed. That's simple and plain. I get this done all day, every day. So don't think it's impossible. I'm telling you what I do. My credit scores across the board is over 800. Facts is over 800. I can post it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna post it right after this video to show you. You know, and I get my client stuff 800 all the way across the board. Now, with that being said, that's how you dispute a collection. But also, I got another tip that I do. Now, this is kind of technical. I don't really use this unless I have to, but I'm gonna give you the sauce because, like I say, the information is free, right? But the service is what costs. So you can do this stuff. You can research it. You can chat GPT it. You can look it up. This is facts. When a creditor, when they report a debt that you owe, they report that debt to the IRS, and they use what's called a 1099-C, right? Now, you can go to the IRS and you can fill out a particular document, which is called a 4506. So it's 4506 T as in Tom, a 4506 T. You can go to IRS and you can look at this document. You can fill this document out. You can submit it to the IRS, and they will give you a list of different documents that you need. One of those documents is a 1099-C. What a 1099-C is, it's every creditor or company or financial institution that has filed taxable income under your social security number. So what that means is, if a creditor has written off a debt that you owe and they have filed it with the IRS, then it will be on that 1099-C form. Now, how does that apply to you and collections? Easy. If a collection agency or a creditor is still reporting that debt as on your credit bureau, that means they're trying to do two things. They already filed it with the IRS and they're trying to collect it as well. That's illegal. They can't do that. That's illegal because it's already written off, which means that you are supposed to report it as taxable income, right? Which means you will have to pay taxes on it because you basically got paid that. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they file it with the IRS, is because they're saying that you got paid it, you know, so you have to file taxes on it. They don't have to file taxes because it's a loss. They wrote it off on their taxes. You see what I'm saying? So that's what that particular document means. And if they are trying to collect after they have filed it with the IRS, then now it's illegal. Because not only have they written it off as a loss, but now they're trying to also gain it as a gain. You see what I'm saying? So that's another way that you can fight them. And believe me, you might think it's a game, but a lot of them do it because you don't know this. So now you know. So if you allow them to do it, shame on you. Y'all need to tap in and get more credit game, man.